we're joined via Zoom by political analyst Professor Bheki Mngomezulu to weigh in on the Ethekwini ANC regional elective conference. A very good afternoon to you, Prof. Thanks very much for joining us here on SABC News, sir.
Good afternoon, Sis Flo, and good afternoon to your viewers.
Of course, the big talking point, no doubt, at this time, apart from the issues regarding who's eligible to vote and so forth, is the main issue, which is that, of course, ex-mayor Zandile Gumede up against Thabani Nyawo for the top post. What are your views here, particularly given the fact that there is this, I suppose, cloud on Zandile Gumede's head? She's been asked to step aside, all of that, and it's a clear situation of what's being called, you know, RET versus what they're calling the renewal or Tumamene and so forth. How do you see this all sort of playing out, as already there have been threats of legal action and we've seen how it's already started?
Sis Flo, it's a very interesting situation. Maybe let me start off by saying that today is a very important day in the calendar of South Africa. This is the day when the late Chris Hani was assassinated under very controversial circumstances. And unfortunately, Chris Hani was in fact a member of the ANC as much as was a member of the SABC. So on the day when Chris Hani was killed, we are expecting that the ANC and its coalition will be doing things the right way. But what we see happening in the region of Ethekwini is a very disturbing matter. The question we are asking goes back to the 2017 ANC resolution of leaders of the party who are implicated having to step aside. And then we have seen this playing itself out in Mpumalanga, where Mandla Msebi was in fact elected as the treasurer of the ANC in Mpumalanga, despite the fact that he was on a step aside. So which means therefore that you cannot then disqualify Zandile Gumede because a precedent has already been set. And then we also know that if she were to emerge victorious, assuming the conference will still go ahead, if she were to emerge victorious, then the same rule would apply, that the leadership of the ANC would ask her to step aside, and then someone else would be holding two positions. And this is a very disturbing situation, because the question I'm asking, where is the NEC? Where is the NWC? Because under normal circumstances, these are the people who are supposed to have foreseen this situation, and they are supposed to have taken precautionary measures to make sure that the conference does not collapse.
Yeah, I mean, I'd really like to know, I mean, you see the political landscape of KZN, and you're quite close to that, to what's happening within the ANC's KZN, you know, how they vote in the regions. Talk to us about the strength of Zandile Gumede. We're continuously hearing about her supporters, and that she's got a great following, and that people do generally vote for her. We'd like to see how this would obviously be playing out. Political pundits in KZN will always tell you that there is this Zandile Gumede problem, as they would refer to it. Is that the case? I mean, we do see that her supporters are there even now.
You know what, Sis Flo? The two candidates, that is Zandile Gumede and Thabani Nyawo, both of them do have support. You recall that in last year's local government elections, Thabani Nyawo was in fact ranked #1 for quite some time during the process. So which means that he does enjoy support. It's also out there in the open that Thabani Nyawo is the supporter of the sitting president of the ANC, that is Cyril Ramaphosa. So which means that not only does he have his own supporters, but he also has supporters of the president. But then on the other hand, Zandile Gumede is a force to be reckoned with, because she also has enough support as an individual, but then most importantly, she also draws from the support of the former president. You and I know that former President Jacob Zuma still enjoys a large following, not just in KwaZulu-Natal, but also in the country. So which means therefore that Zandile Gumede draws from her own support, but she also draws from the support of the former president, the supporters of Isma Khashule. All of those people are in fact fully behind her. And then you also just recently heard that Mr. Zungu, the owner of AmaZulu, wanted to contest the election, but then pulled out at the 11th hour. And then from what we are hearing, he's also putting his weight behind Zandile Gumede. So the reality of the matter, therefore, is that we have a real contest. Unfortunately, the leaders are not allowing us that opportunity. They are wasting our time and the time of the nation and the resources of the ANC, in fact, squabbling over issues that are supposed to have been handled by the NEC, which is why I'm asking the question, where is the NEC in all of this, and where were they in terms of the preparation? Because it doesn't make sense to me that you can expect the RTT to vote. Who is their constituency? Who are they representing? Because like Mr. Mhlongo was saying here, that you have Gwazim Shengu, who is coming from Pietermaritzburg, is a member of the RTT. So if he were to be allowed to vote, which branch will he be voting for? And then which mandate will he be carrying? So those are some of the issues which I don't think they should have arisen in the first place. So it's a disgrace, honestly speaking. We shouldn't be where we are.
Yeah, and then I just want to talk about what my colleagues Ayanda and Simpiwe were chatting about when we crossed to Durban shortly with them, and that's something that you're now talking about too, is this issue of a mandate, the fact that you cannot vote with no mandate if you aren't from that region. And there have been questions, in fact, about the chairperson himself, Gwazim Shengu, from a different region. That's been part of the biggest challenge in this conference, with regards as well to who can vote and who can't. So I'm saying RTT should not be allowed to vote. So let's talk about your take on this. I mean, you've mentioned the problem areas when it comes to this situation, but then how do you see it playing out? I mean, you know, we've already heard that there will be litigations after this, and one wonders if it can go as far as the conference itself actually then collapsing, as we've seen before. How do you see this sort of playing out then?
You know what, Sisflo, truth be told, you and I might as well go to that venue and then vote for whoever want to vote for. Because it means that there are no credentials, anybody can just come in and vote. Under normal circumstances, you have branches meeting, and then they discuss issues, they identify potential candidates, and then they recommend those candidates. Now, if you come in at the tail end of the process and say you also want to vote, the first question is, who are you voting for? Then the second question will be, on whose mandate are you going to vote for that particular individual? So those are the questions that are at the core. Unless this issue is attended to and is addressed, this conference is not going to proceed. You will recall also that there was a question with the ANC Women's League, some saying that because his term of office has lapsed, therefore they cannot be part of the conference. Then they were able to resolve that issue, for which I give them credit. Then there was another issue to say that we have the ANC Youth League, which is not there, and then of course part of the discussion we are having right now stems around there. So the reality of the matter is that you have a number of delegates that are supposed to be attending the conference, and each of them should be accounted for which branch you are representing and then which mandate you are carrying. Because you don't go there and vote with your conscience, as we normally say. You go there and represent the interests of those who have elected you or who have sent you as a delegate. After the conference, you go back and report to those who have sent you. So if you don't have a constituency, who are you going to report to? So unless they resolve this RTT issue, the conference will definitely collapse.
All right. Thanks very much for speaking to us, and we'll certainly hopefully catch up with you at some other stage to discuss the goings on in KZN. Thank you very much, sir.